What if a single tweet could spark global panic? What if, in just 9 words, the world found itself teetering on the edge of nuclear disaster? On a quiet Thursday morning, while most of America was still waking up, former President Donald J. Trump hit send on a tweet that would ignite a geopolitical firestorm. Nuclear mistake, not yet, but stay ready. Truth. That's all it said. No context, no explanation, just those chilling words. Within minutes, it was everywhere. And within hours, India and Pakistan, 2 nuclear-armed neighbors already locked in a decades-long rivalry, were put on high alert. Was this a warning? A bluff? Or something far more sinister? To the average person, it might have seemed like typical Trumpian theater, another cryptic, bombastic post designed to rile up the media and distract from some scandal. But to those in the know, military analysts, international diplomats, intelligence officers, the tweet read like a potential prelude to catastrophe. Because Trump wasn't just a former president, he was still a man with influence, allies, and enemies. And most importantly, secrets. We meet Alex Carter, a young but highly respected political correspondent based in Washington, D.C. She's sharp, determined, and fiercely skeptical. She's covered Trump for years and written 2 books on American political disinformation. When she sees the tweet, something in her gut tells her this isn't just noise. Within hours, her phone is flooded with calls, former intelligence contacts, foreign journalists, even a panicked whistleblower who hasn't spoken publicly in years. They're all saying the same thing. Something is happening behind the scenes, and it's big. Alex starts digging, and the deeper she goes, the more disturbing. The puzzle becomes: satellite images from the border of India and Pakistan show increased troop movement. Intelligence chatter points to a rogue military faction in Pakistan attempting to seize a nuclear facility. Meanwhile, India has activated part of its missile defense network, citing an undisclosed external threat. All this right after Trump's tweet. As she pieces it all together, one truth begins to emerge. This wasn't a random tweet. It was a signal. But a signal for what? Is Trump warning someone? Threatening someone? Or is he trying to stop something before it's too late? The world watches, breath held, journalists scramble, governments brace, missiles move, because if what Alex suspects is true, then we're not just witnessing another Trump controversy. We're standing at the edge of a global nightmare, and it all started with a tweet. Alex Carter couldn't take her eyes off the screen. The tweet sat there like a landmine, glowing ominously in the early morning light spilling through her DC apartment window. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from a source she hadn't heard from in years. James Lawton, a former NSA analyst turned recluse after a whistleblower scandal that nearly got him killed. His message was short, panicked, and unlike anything he'd ever sent before. This isn't about Trump, it's about what he knows and who's about to act on it. Heart racing, Alex picked up the phone and dialed James. It rang twice before a scrambled voice answered. "You saw it, didn't you?" he whispered, paranoid. "That tweet isn't a warning, it's a trigger." "A trigger for what?" Alex demanded, but the line went dead. Something was wrong, really wrong. She stared at her laptop as alerts rolled in from foreign news outlets. Islamabad had called an emergency military session. Indian fighter jets were reportedly repositioning. Then came the real punch. CNN was now reporting that a classified U.S. diplomatic cable had leaked, one that hinted at a covert nuclear incident at a Pakistani facility just days prior. The leak had come from an anonymous source, but Alex had a gut feeling she knew who had pushed it into the open. Trump. Why would he leak that now? Why now, when the world was already unstable, and when his own political and legal futures were hanging in the balance? As Alex struggled to wrap her head around it, a knock at her door startled her. She wasn't expecting anyone. Grabbing her phone, she approached cautiously. Through the peephole stood a tall, clean-cut man in a charcoal suit, early 40s, the kind of guy who screamed government without even trying. "Miss Carter," he said calmly, "we need to talk." Alex cracked the door but didn't unchain it. "Who are you?" "Call me Reed. I work in crisis management. Your name came up. Why? Because what you're about to uncover is going to get a lot of people killed if you're not careful. She slammed the door in his face, heart pounding. But it was too late. Her world had already shifted. Within the hour, Alex was in a secure back room of a coffee shop in Georgetown, facing an old friend turned reluctant ally, Sarah Devine, a CIA field officer she'd met during a reporting assignment overseas. Sarah slid a folder across the table. Inside were redacted reports, maps, and one grainy image that stopped Alex cold. A satellite image of a facility on Pakistan's outskirts. Smoke, scorched earth, chaos. The timestamp? 2 days ago. What is this? Alex asked, her voice low. Oi. Failed heist, Sarah whispered. Someone tried to steal fissile material. We think it was an inside job. Now India's convinced it was sanctioned by Pakistan's military elite. Tensions are spiraling. But there's more. Trump knew about it before anyone. Days before. Alex stared at her. You're telling me he dropped that tweet to warn people? I'm saying, Sarah replied. He might be the only one. Who knows who's really behind it? And he's using Twitter the same way he always has, like a grenade. Only now the pin's out and the world's holding its breath. The emotional weight crashed down on Alex. The story she was chasing wasn't just political, it was existential. This wasn't about clicks or headlines anymore. This was about survival. Suddenly, everything became clearer and far more terrifying. Trump's tweet wasn't a riddle. It was a code, a message for someone on the inside. And maybe, just maybe, it was also a threat or a dare. But one thing was certain now. Alex was in too deep to turn back, and someone out there wanted her to stop digging. Alex Carter wasn't new to chasing dangerous stories, but this time the danger wasn't just in the shadows. It was staring right back at her, breathing down her neck with every step. The documents Sarah had shown her weren't supposed to exist, yet here they were, proof that something massive had gone wrong at a Pakistani nuclear facility. And worse, someone had tried to cover it up. The question now was, why would Trump, of all people, blow the lid off? She barely slept. Every moment felt like a race against time. As she combed through satellite images and back-channel communications, a disturbing pattern emerged. Communications between several high-ranking military officials in both Pakistan and India had gone silent within the past 72 hours. Not rerouted, not encrypted, dead silent. In the intelligence world, that kind of silence isn't peace. It's preparation. Alex met Sarah again the next morning, this time in the backseat of a black SUV, windows tinted, parked beside the Potomac. There's a faction in Pakistan's military, Sarah explained. Hardliners, ultra-nationalists. They've always wanted an excuse to provoke India. If the heist had succeeded, it would have given them exactly that. But it didn't. Succeed? Alex replied. That's why they're covering it up. And why Trump's tweet, intentional or not, just lit a match under the whole damn thing. As they spoke, Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, then froze. You need to see this. It was a new post on Truth Social. If they think I'll stay quiet while they play games with warheads, they're dead wrong. TikTok. Alex's blood went cold. Trump was baiting someone. But who? Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Reed. Against her better judgment, she answered. We have a problem, he said without preamble. Your source in Langley? She's being watched. And so are you. They're not playing defense anymore, Alex. You're in the middle of it now. I've been in the middle, she snapped. No, before you were just reporting. Now they think you know something. I don't, she said, though even she didn't fully believe it anymore. Reed sighed. You don't have to. You just have to look like you do. Later that night, she met with another contact, Kunal Rao, a tech analyst and former Indian intelligence liaison now working as a consultant in D.C. Kunal had ties to satellite operators in the region, and what he showed Alex only deepened the hole. The strike didn't just miss, he said, pointing to a grainy black and white feed. It was diverted. Someone hacked Pakistan's launch system in real time and shut it down. Who could pull that off? Alex asked. Only 3 governments on Earth could have pulled this off. One of them is the United States, another is Russia, and the third, well, let's just say China has been unusually quiet through all this. She looked at him. Are you saying this was an international intervention? Kunal nodded. Or a demonstration, a message. Don't play with fire. But if someone had intervened to prevent the heist or neutralize a rogue missile, why let the world come this close to the brink? Why let Trump fan the flames with his cryptic, dangerous rhetoric, unless that was the point? Alex's mind raced. Was Trump acting on a tip-off? Or was he, in his own twisted way, trying to stop something worse from happening? Either way, he wasn't doing it alone. Someone was feeding him information, someone with access to top-level intel, and possibly a motive of their own. Back in her apartment, she scribbled out names, timelines, connections, trying to map the chaos. Every time she thought she saw the full picture, another piece of the puzzle twisted out of reach. Her world was spinning, and the pressure was suffocating. Then came the final blow for the night, an email from an anonymous sender. Subject line, "You're not ready for what's coming." Attached, a single image, grainy surveillance footage from inside the nuclear facility. And standing in the corner of the frame was someone she recognized instantly. It was Reed. Her ally wasn't just watching her, he was part of the operation. Alex stared at the image on her screen, her mind reeling. There he was, Reed, the man who'd claimed to be protecting her, the man who warned her not to dig too deep, standing inside the very Pakistani nuclear facility that was supposedly the center of a failed heist. The timestamp matched the day before the explosion. But what the hell was he doing there? Her phone buzzed again, this time from Sarah. "We have to meet. Now." Sarah's voice was tight, urgent. "There's something I didn't tell you, something I just confirmed." 15 minutes later, they were in Sarah's parked car under the shadow of a bridge on the edge of the National Mall. "You were right about Reed," she said. "He's not just some crisis manager. His real name is Eli Reedson, former special liaison to the Joint Intelligence Task Force. He went dark 4 years ago. No official exit. Just disappeared." Alex's breath caught. "And now he's suddenly back whispering in my ear?" Sarah nodded. "He's part of a black ops group that doesn't officially exist. They don't answer to the Pentagon. They answer to whoever pays." Alex shook her head in disbelief. "So what? He's playing both sides?" "Maybe more than that," Sarah said, sliding a flash drive across the console. "These are intercepts from the last 72 hours. Multiple encrypted messages from a mobile device that matches Reedson's digital signature. The content was routed through Moscow. Some of the terminology? It matches phrasing in the tweet Trump posted, word for word." "Jesus," Alex whispered. "You're saying Trump's tweet was written by Reed? Or ghost-written by someone using his access?" The room seemed to tilt. Everything Alex thought she understood about this mess crumbled in that instant. Trump wasn't just reacting to the crisis. He was a part of the narrative being shaped by someone else, someone feeding him disinformation or carefully calculated truths meant to provoke global chaos, and Reed, Eli Reedson, was the middleman. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Pakistan or India or a potential nuclear standoff. It was about something far bigger, a deliberate attempt to manufacture global destabilization, using Trump as the perfect delivery system, a walking, tweeting weapon of confusion. Sarah looked her dead in the eyes. "They're not trying to start a war. They're trying to use the threat of war to reset the global order, scare the world into submission, shift the balance of power." Alex felt sick. "And Trump, does he even know?" "Does it matter?" Sarah said. "He's the perfect pawn, chaotic, unpredictable, untouchable to half the country, and loud, enough to drown out the truth." The flash drive burned a hole in Alex's pocket as she stepped back out into the night. The air felt heavier now, the world more dangerous. She returned home, only to find her apartment door slightly ajar. Her breath caught. Inside, the place was ransacked. Drawers pulled open, laptop gone, papers scattered. But whoever had come in hadn't been looking for electronics. They'd been looking for something else. Something personal. On her wall, above her desk, she found it. Her father's old photo from his days in military intelligence. Torn. Slashed across the middle. That was no random act. That was a message. Her father had died 10 years ago in what was called an accidental drone misfire during a peacekeeping operation in Afghanistan. But now, a sickening suspicion curled in her stomach. What if it hadn't been an accident? What if her family had been targeted long before she even knew what story she was born to chase? The photo was a trigger, a reminder. This was personal. Suddenly, everything she thought she was uncovering wasn't just about geopolitics. It was about her past, her family, her connection to a shadow war that had started long before a tweet blew up the internet. And now she knew why Reed had kept her close. She wasn't just a reporter stumbling onto the truth. She was the truth, or at least, the key to unlocking it. Alex stood in the middle of her torn-apart apartment, her fingers trembling around the edge of the photo frame. Her father's face stared back at her, half ripped, half intact, as if daring her to finish the story he had started but never lived to tell. The roar in her ears was deafening. She wasn't just reporting on a geopolitical nightmare. She was standing at the crossroads of a personal reckoning and a global catastrophe. She didn't sleep. Couldn't. Not with the world potentially minutes away from ignition. Just before dawn, she got a message on her encrypted channel. Midnight. Potomac Pier. Come alone. She knew it was a trap, but it was also the only way to get answers. Reed had crossed every line, and now he wanted a conversation. Armed with nothing but a flash drive and a hidden mic, Alex walked onto the fog-slicked pier. Reed, Eli Reedson, was already there, leaning against the railing like they were old friends meeting for a drink. "I wasn't sure you'd come," he said, his voice low, unreadable. "I wasn't sure I'd survive the week," she shot back. He chuckled. "Fair." She didn't bother with small talk. "You were there, inside the facility, before the explosion. Why?" Reed's smile faded. "Because someone had to make sure it didn't fall into the wrong hands." "You mean like yours?" "Careful, Alex," he warned. "This isn't black and white. You think I'm the villain, but I'm the one who stopped a nuclear crisis. I'm the one who kept both countries from lighting the match." "By starting the fire first?" Reed stepped closer. "No. By controlling the narrative. You think the truth keeps the world safe? You think transparency prevents war? Wake up. Fear is what holds everything together. If the world believes someone hacked Pakistan's nukes, they'll double their security. If India thinks they're being watched, they won't launch preemptively. We stage the crisis. We manage the fallout." She stared at him. "And Trump? You used him." "Of course we did. The man's a loudspeaker with no filter. We feed him the script and he delivers it like prophecy. No one questions it. Everyone reacts." "But why now? Why this?" Reed's gaze hardened. "Because the global order is crumbling. Old alliances, weak deterrence, paper treaties. We're on the edge, Alex. You think this tweet was the spark? No. It was the flare gun. A warning shot. Our final attempt to scare the world straight." Alex pulled the flash drive from her pocket. "I have everything. Your messages. The Moscow routing. Satellite intercepts. I can expose all of it." Reed didn't flinch. "Go ahead. You'll start a panic that will make this week look like a dress rehearsal. Think about it. Go public, and you prove the US tampered with another country's nuclear systems. We become the aggressors. You destabilize the region. People die. Millions." She felt her throat tighten. "You want the truth, Alex?" he said. "Here it is. Sometimes lies save lives." That was the choice. Tell the world and spark chaos, or bury the truth and let the illusion of stability persist. She had come this far chasing justice. Now she stood on the edge of it, realizing it might be the very thing that unraveled everything, and that's when the second twist hit her like a freight train. Reed reached into his coat and pulled out a flash drive of his own. Your father knew this moment would come. He left this behind only for you. I've been holding it, waiting. Alex took it with shaking hands. The label was simple. Project Signal. Reed's voice softened. He wasn't killed in a drone accident. He was silenced after refusing to sign off on a system that allowed selective nuclear disablement from a third-party actor. That system is active now, and it works. Alex's knees almost buckled. Her father had died for a secret that could stop nuclear war, and now she had proof of its existence. Tears burned her eyes, but she stood tall. I'm going to finish what? He started. Reed didn't stop her. Then be ready to carry the weight. Because once this gets out, there's no turning back. As she walked away, flash drive clenched tight in her hand. The fog swallowed her, but she was no longer afraid. She was ready. The world didn't end the next day. No bombs dropped, no war declared, no doomsday clocks hit midnight. But behind the silence, something had shifted. Alex stood on the rooftop of her apartment building, the cold morning wind biting through her coat. In her pocket was the flash drive labeled Project Signal, now duplicated, encrypted, and tucked in safes across 3 continents. She had done it, walked straight into the fire and come out with the matchbook, but the question burned inside her. What now? She hadn't released the story, not yet. Instead, she'd made a decision that would have stunned her former self, idealistic, eager, naive. She gave the story to someone else, someone with power. A trusted foreign diplomat who owed her father a favor and had enough leverage to quietly dismantle what was left of the rogue program. The documents wouldn't be headlines, but they would trigger internal investigations, silent arrests, quiet demotions. The world wouldn't know what was avoided, but it would be safer. And yet, something still gnawed at her. A tension that hadn't gone away, only changed shape. Because Alex had seen what few ever do, how truth can be a weapon, how silence can be an act of mercy, and how easily democracy teeters on the edge of shadow games. She was different now. Stronger, yes, but lonelier too. The news cycle rolled on. Trump never mentioned the tweet again. His followers treated it like gospel. His enemies brushed it off as another attention-grabbing stunt. The governments of India and Pakistan issued joint statements about communication errors and a shared commitment to peace. The story died before it ever lived, but she had planted something, a whisper in the dark, and she knew that, somewhere out there, the right people were watching. Sarah had gone dark, relocated to a diplomatic post in Europe. Reed, Eli Reedson, disappeared again. No trace, no word. And her father? His name, once buried under years of bureaucratic lies, was being quietly cleared. She'd received an anonymous package 2 days ago, his military service file. Sealed. Declassified, and in the margins a single sentence handwritten in pencil. She finished what I started, and she did it better. Tears stung her eyes then. They did now. She looked out over the city, her recorder in hand. Not for a news outlet this time. This time, it was for herself, for the record, for the next time someone tries to make the world burn under the guise of protection. She hit record. What happens when power stops asking for permission? When truth becomes optional and war is staged like theater? The world doesn't explode overnight. It erodes moment by moment, tweet by tweet, until one person says enough. She paused, looked into the distance. I said it, and I'll say it again. Click. The recorder shut off. She wasn't done, not even close, because the tweet wasn't a mistake. It was a warning. And the next one might not be so cryptic.